but I mean, Ginger Thor, right? That was what people called him.
Garnet
Garnet
Thor.
Thor.
Garnet Thor.
Garnet Thor. Get it right.
Okay. Yeah, that is so funny. Like red hair is just like
That's not a style choice.
no.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what you.
Well, I guess it can be if it's like
well
red,
I guess,
but not gingery. We've been talking about hair. I asked Wes and Chris if they have had any notable hairstyles through the years, expecting a pretty, honestly, expecting a relatively safe answer, like I got from Chris, like long. You said you got a picture of
Big,
like,
not
big.
even long, just like big hair.
Yeah,
Had big
voluminous.
Hair. Yes.
I got a surprising answer from Wes, and he can out himself or I can out him.
I want to know what. Well, I guess Chris already heard it. Preston, you got any guesses?
not really.
Young, like this is like middle school, junior high. So yeah.
Middle school, junior high. I don't know how young that is. I mean, you made the choice. It wasn't your parents, right? You made it.
Yeah, I made.
It was your choice,
and it was a bold decision.
Okay, what?
So all right, I'll just out myself, I guess. This was during the Eminem heyday. Straight up, full bleached, blondish, platinum-ish, all the way. Not tips, not any of that. This black hair was blonde. I'll bring a picture tomorrow.
Oh man, I can't wait to see this picture tomorrow.
Was it the same length as it is right now?
A little bit longer.
Okay,
longer. And here's the thing about those decisions. When you have very dark hair like I do, and it starts to like grow out, there's this time period when it's like in between sort of, it ends up being like a frosted tips thing once you get it cut next time. But there's a time period in between that where you shouldn't be allowed in public. But yeah, I was there.
That's really exciting. Thank you all for sharing, or thank you for sharing with all of us.
We appreciate you sharing that.
Not that you had any choice in the matter, but that's fantastic. Like, everyone's made choices. Everyone's got to do something ambitious with their hair at some point in their lives.
Hey, I would do it again, not now, but like me then.
Do it again.
I would do it all over.
Yeah, good, good. Stick with your choices. A man who knows a lot about a lot of things. I didn't realize that hair was one of them, but I'm not at all surprised. But Barry has a hair story for us.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Barry?
How you doing?
Good,
Preston, I got a good one for you guys, hair-wise. This is 1971 now, okay, back in New York. And I had a couple older sisters who were sitting around the house one night and decided to basically cornrow and braid my hair, okay, in 1971. And then we decided to go to the city. And when I say the city, you know what city I'm talking about, New York City. And, you know, when you go to New York City, you see some stuff you don't see anywhere else in the world. Okay, so here I am. I'm a 16-year-old white dude, and we're driving around New York City, and everybody in every car is freaking out at my hair. Okay, we get out, we walk the streets. I got stopped 100 times. Oh my God, I love your hair. I love your hair. I love your hair. So I think I was a precedent setter when it comes to white dudes wearing braids back in 1971. So when you go to New York City and you get attention like that, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And for 40 years of my life, my hair has been longer than my shoulders. There's two things I'm very picky about is my hair and my rags, okay? They're going to be straight. It don't matter. Being Italian, my clothes are going to be straight. My hair is going to be straight. Now I want to touch on football, okay? We talked about the last three games. Preston, I'm talking to you. You know, I have Carolina 6-3, right where I predicted them at the beginning of the season. The only difference being the A&M Missouri games. Those two I had reversed. And I've got them losing the last three. This is preseason. Now, after watching the season, I think that Clemson is most definitely the easiest opponent to beat based on what I've seen. I've seen them play enough games on TV, okay, to know the quarterback doesn't scare me. All right, they got number one, and they got number 0. They got two guys on offense. Give me a number one, a Will Shipley. I want a Will Shipley on my team, okay? I'm going to give a shout-out to Will Shipley. I love the kid. I think he's a hell of a running back. but their secondary is about as bad as any secondary in the country. If Rattler's ever going to be used as an asset, which he has not been used yet as an asset, it should be against Clemson, and he should be able to eat up their secondary because they're terrible. And I just want to see if you agree that based on what we've seen at this point in time, that Clemson possibly could be the easiest opponent.
Barry, appreciate the call as always, and the hair story. That's fantastic. Glad to know what you're rocking with now. And appreciate the hard pivot to football as well.
Absolutely, right in our wheelhouse. This is exactly what I do. So, honestly, I had not considered this. It's going to take me a minute to consider that. In my brain, I've just been thinking about Clemson being Clemson, who they were, and so there's a little lag in me considering what they actually are now. But as I listen to everybody talk and sort of hear people evaluating them, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities, because the Clemson team that we thought they were at the beginning of the year is not who they will be at the end of the year. Are they better than South Carolina? Yes, probably. I guess I'm hesitant to say easiest because I don't know what this Florida team is. I'd say the most difficult is Tennessee, obviously. Maybe a toss-up on Clemson and Florida.
Yeah, well, Chris, we got into this a little bit yesterday, and you said likelihood of winning, I guess, Florida number 1, Clemson number 2, Tennessee number 3. And you gave a good explanation for it, I thought. And Clemson is obviously Clemson. But how big in your mind is the gap between Florida and Clemson in terms of likelihood that Carolina pulls the upset?
Not a huge gap, I don't think. Florida, probably advantaged Florida in quarterback play, honestly. Now, Clemson's quarterback has played. He's been very up and down. He's had some games where you're like, wow, he is way better than last season. He's had other games. Notre Dame was certainly one where he struggled, and they'll bring in the freshman Cade Klubnik, and he hasn't done a lot. He's been kind of up and down. Had some,
and it's really gotten thrown into the fire a couple of times.
Thrown into the fire. But I think Clemson at least has shown the capability to be able to run the football at times, and that's concerning for South Carolina. We saw that last season with the South Carolina team. Could not stop Clemson's running game. So until further notice, that's a big concern. Florida is more dangerous at quarterback because of Anthony Richardson and what he can do. Clemson is vulnerable in the secondary. I will agree with that. If you get one-on-one opportunities, you can take advantage of them, but they're really good on the defensive line. I mean, they're really good up front, and they have a lot of talent on that team. So I think it's fairly close, but I still have Florida as a more winnable game, just overall, just top to bottom, all things considered, but it's not a huge gap, I don't think.
Yeah, and they're 5-4. They're 2-4 in SEC play. 3 of their 4 losses are to teams that might be in the college football playoffs. Right. So that there is that. I also think it's fair to say that Florida's just they're just okay. I mean, one of you made the point yesterday. It's just kind of all these teams in a morass in the middle of the SEC. Florida's absolutely part of that. What's interesting about this matchup this weekend, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on this, and the Clemson game as well, because I think Barry's right. An opportunity to exploit that, an opportunity for Spencer to just take advantage of his talent. That's a game where you just say, go. Just obviously you have to have a game plan and stuff, but just hey, Spencer, just go do stuff. Make something happen. Make it like the Jake Bentley game from a couple of years ago where you're just chucking it all over the yard and see what happens. But what we've established that this Carolina team is at its best when it's running the football first and running to set up the pass. But against Florida and against Clemson, it's you're really going to need the passing game almost first, and that hasn't been what Carolina has done well this year.
You said that you've got to pass first against Florida.
Well, they're a team that gives up a lot of explosive plays.
Yes.
They're not very good. You're going to need to keep up. You're going to need to score points, and especially if you don't have Marshawn Lloyd, which at this point, 50-50, whatever, you're going to score into the mid to high 30s, maybe even low 40s. You're going to need a really big game out of Spencer Rattler and a good game out of your receivers.
Yeah, and so I think it almost begs the question. It's kind of that could be true. Spencer Rattler, if he has the biggest game as a Gamecock, that would be a path to victory. But it's is that more likely, or is it more likely that South Carolina needs to follow a more conventional formula, and regardless of Lloyd, you find a way to run the football? I mean, Shane Beamer gave the statistic the other day, and it was a pretty high. What was it? 200 yards. They're undefeated. Haven't lost a game when South Carolina runs for some certain number of yards, and that's probably the case for a whole bunch of teams, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, well, which is more likely based on what we've seen from this team? It's probably easier to say if Marshawn Lloyd's in the equation that, running the football very effectively is, the better path because Marshawn Lloyd has created a lot of those said explosive plays that South Carolina has had this year, and presumably would have the best chance to do that. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of probably didn't answer the question at all, but that really is the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah, we could say, well, it's critical for Spencer to be able to have a big passing game, but I think that's kind of to do that, you have to eliminate the possibility that South Carolina can run the ball effectively, and maybe that's the case.
Wes, would you characterize Carolina's rushing attack as effective against Vanderbilt? This is not a trick question, just a Rorschach test.
My eyes told me not as effective as you would like.
Mhm.
Looking back at the stats, and again, we did talk about how some of those things can be misleading. Looking back at the stats, though, they actually ran the ball better than it felt like they did, and I
Mhm.
think there were a few juju sort of mini chunk plays that I think I almost, I don't know, didn't give them credit for in my head. Like I just didn't remember them until I rewatched the game. So they ran the ball better than I expected. I think they ran the ball better statistically than it felt like they did, is what I'm trying to say. Obviously there's no Lloyd, and we know Lloyd how important he has been to
Mhm.
this team. So when you sort of consider that, they probably did maybe even better than they could have been expected. But I think the thing for South Carolina going into this game, for one, is Lloyd available or not? Two, how close to 100% is he? Even if he's gives it a go, I think there's a better chance this week that he's going to at least be able to go out there and sort of warm up and make it a game day decision. We'll see, but man, this is a Florida team. I felt like a healthy Lloyd probably has a pretty big day against, leaning on Wilhelm's analytics a little bit. Like, not only have they given up a bunch of chunk plays, they've given up a bunch of like missed tackles. So, or had a bunch of missed tackles. So you're talking about really one of the best backs, analytically in the conference at creating missed tackles against the defense that misses a lot of tackles. So,
Mhm.
having him in there always would be a difference maker. Don't get me wrong, but I think it would especially be a difference maker against these guys.
13th in the SEC at run missed tackle percentage is Florida. Only better than Vanderbilt.
And so that creates another question. It's where against which teams have those performances come against? So you mentioned earlier, Pearson, great point. Look at who they've played. LSU, Georgia. It's two. I mean, one of them's a definite playoff team. LSU, presumably, is going to have a really good shot to get there. Now, this is also the same team that barely beat South Florida, who just fired their coach and is horrific. They were fortunate, honestly, to win that game and scored 10 points against Kentucky and did played okay on defense. But it's kind of hard to figure out this game in that regard because like this is a Florida team that's really hard to figure out. But Wes's stat 21 missed tackles that came against LSU, who's pretty good. Same amount of missed tackles South Carolina had against Arkansas, interestingly, in KJ Jefferson. So both of these defenses have struggled with that. Another stat guru that's not Wilhelms, our boy Gamecock Wes on Twitter, bringing the stats every week. Florida's defense has given up 48 scrimmage plays of 20-plus yards, according to Gamecock Russ. South Carolina has 44 scrimmage plays of 20-plus yards, and Marshawn Lloyd has 11 of those. So that just kind of underscores the fact that he's very, very important to this football team for South Carolina.
Yeah, and I guess to come back to it, my emphasis on Carolina's passing game this weekend is mostly predicated on Lloyd's unavailability, or even if he is playing, not going to be more than, I mean, would you say 80% earlier?
Yeah, I would. Just coming back from last week, I question whether or not he can get up to about 80%.
Right.
And as I would just caution that type of injury is really literally only one hit away from going back to zero.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, huge X factor for this weekend, no doubt. We'll continue to talk about some of these matchups, especially what South Carolina is going to need to do to score more. Probably not going to be a 10-7 kind of game. So we'll talk about Carolina's offense and Florida's defense as we continue on here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecock, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Saturday may mark a fork in the road for Alabama. They'll travel to the Grove to take on number 11 Ole Miss and Nick Saban's nemesis Lane Kiffin. If the Rebels win, it'll truly feel like everyone can get their pound of elephant flesh this season, and a feeling that multiple teams have passed the tide in the SEC food chain. This is Damon Amendolara.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
The Gutterman wishes happy 15th anniversary to 107.5 The Game. Join Jay Phillips and Terry Ford Thursday as they broadcast live from the Gutterman in West Columbia. Gamecock tickets and a $200 fall clean will be up for grabs. Happy anniversary to 107.5 The Game. And remember, protect your biggest investment with the guys in the powder blue trucks. Call 803-791-7147.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the Gutterman.
It's time for our Sweet Bids auction. Kick off your holiday shopping by bidding on delightful items and services from wonderful local businesses at incredibly discounted prices. Get a palm tree plus installation from Midlands Landscaping and Lawn, a spectacular glass shower door from Absolute Glass, and catering from Kiki's Chicken and Waffles. Bid now for the products and services of these fine businesses. Our Sweet Bids auction runs through November 17th. Bid now at 1075thegame.com.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
One search engine is used by 9 out of 10 consumers. Hint, the name begins with a G. And there are hundreds of things that go into being ranked highly by that engine. Your website, your business profile, even your social accounts. A couple of slip-ups and you find yourself on page 7. But at Cumulus Boost, we have the experts and resources to fix what's wrong and boost your findability so you can rank higher than your competition. Get started today at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
Gamecock Nation, year 2 of the Shane Beamer era is here, and GamecockCentral.com wants to be your source for in-depth coverage and insider information. Come join our exclusive community of South Carolina fans today at GamecockCentral.com.
1075 The Game wants to give you the opportunity to honor a veteran close to you this Veterans Day and also give them a chance to see the Gamecocks and Volunteers go at it Saturday, November 19th. It's our Veterans Day contest on 1075 The Game. Just go to 1075 The Game on the web or our app. Click on our Veterans Day contest page and tell us about your veteran. We'll pick a veteran an hour to honor. That is the 5 o'clock hour on Game Time. Heath Klein will draw the winner of the tickets to see Carolina and Tennessee. Showing respect to those who serve this Veterans Day and giving them a chance to check out USC and Tennessee.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I say your name. Do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States.
Our Veterans Day contest on your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
"23 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 1075 The Game, and welcome back in. A quick reminder, it's the 15th anniversary of 1075 being on the air, and to celebrate, the halftime show is going to be out at the Gutterman from 12 to 3 this afternoon with special guests from the first ever show. I haven't asked. I don't even know. 2007. Trying to think. It still could have been like DC. Trying to think of who some of the guests would have been on the first ever broadcast on 1075 The Game. And it was, in fact, Jay Phillips' show, the halftime show. First one to crack a mic right here on the station. So anyway, go out to the Gutterman. Special guest from the first show. Basketball tickets to give away. Plus, you can win a $200 fall cleanout from the Gutterman to help us celebrate our 15th anniversary. Wes, Chris, I had to do a lot of digging yesterday. Watch some tape. Grind some stats. Because I was like, I have nothing to say for the next 2 days because y'all just convinced me that Carolina didn't have a chance. And which is so weird because that's what I get accused of doing, and you two were the ones telling me that Carolina wasn't going to win. And I'm like, wait a second, there is a football game that's going to be played, and Florida is actually horrendous defensively. They're not just bad. Most of the categories that you can find, the only teams that are worse than them are Vanderbilt. Every once in a while, there's an Auburn or an Arkansas or an A&M stat, but Florida's defense is really bad this year. That's a statement.
Is this where we talk to?
If you want to, y'all have made your stance on this game clear.
Ask a question.
I think Carolina can score. The defenses that are worse in most of these categories than Florida are Vanderbilt and Arkansas, and those are the two games where Carolina has gotten 230 or cracked 30 in the case of Vanderbilt. So there is a path here to this being a shootout.
Yeah, there is a path. I think it has to be a shootout, depending on your definition of shootout. If South Carolina's going to win the game, it's got to be. They've got to get in the 30s. I think that's pretty safe to say. And I'm not in any way saying South Carolina cannot win the game. I'm just saying that these teams played 10 times, Carolina's not winning 5 of them. I think it's a bad matchup for them on paper, and they're going to have to play the run a good bit better than they did against a Vandy team that ran the ball better against Carolina than they have against just about anybody else that they've played.
Question, for somebody trying to figure it out. Are you saying that Carolina needs to score 30 because Florida's offense is that good, or Carolina's defense has struggled that much? Obviously, combination of the two, but which one would you lean on?
Yeah, I just think it's a bad matchup, and a good bit of that being how I feel like Carolina has played against the run the last 2 games, combined with a running game for Florida that is their strength. They have a quarterback that I can envision lots of plays to the outside where, kind of like with KJ Jefferson, Nick Eamon-Warrior's having to clean it up 9 yards downfield, and he collects a bunch of tackles, but I feel like Carolina's defense has struggled. It goes back to success rate. they've struggled to keep their opponent behind schedule. And Florida is a team that I think can live in that little, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2. And if they have 3rd and 2, if they're smart, they're going to just run Richardson ahead for easy gains. So I feel like you shouldn't go into this game expecting South Carolina's defense to just shut Florida down. That's why I'm saying 30. I think, if you can contain them and maybe keep them around that 28-31 number, then, it's going to be about, can Carolina's offense create enough explosive plays, because they've kind of been kind of boom or bust on offense for Carolina. And then it's a Florida defense that gives up explosives as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you never know going into a game, is this going to be the game where those explosives hit, or is this going to be the game where they don't? It's kind of unpredictable. I feel
like. even if they do, if you're on the field for 17 minutes and you run 46 plays and you have 5 long touchdowns, that doesn't feel like it's going to be enough to beat a Florida team that's going to be content to have the ball, control the clock, run the ball, put together long drives, and have your defense be on the field for 100 plays.
So Florida has 4 losses this season. Here are the point totals that they gave up to the opposition: 26 to Kentucky, 38 to Tennessee, 45 to LSU, 42 to Georgia. So there's some trends in there. Number one, all 4 of those teams are good. 3 of them are really, really, really good. And then only one of those games, was less than 38 points.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
they were they were under 5 yards a carry in all those games, though, except for LSU, interestingly.
Who, Florida?
Florida.
Well, but these are the point totals Florida gave up.
Yeah, okay.
But, I mean, that's also a good note on the other side.
Yeah, sorry, continue. I was mixed up.
Then you look at, they're close games. So the South Florida game, I mean, that's kind of an outlier. That's a bad team. They won 31-28. They just played terribly in that game. The Kentucky game is, I look at, the Kentucky game and the Missouri game. Now, Florida beat Missouri by 7. But the Kentucky and the Missouri game, the themes there are, the opposition just mucked up the game, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson didn't play well. Offensively, Florida goes, and really the team goes as he goes.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you got to muck it up if you're South Carolina. Now, with Missouri, and one of Florida's scores in that game was set up by, I think they had 2 picks in that game. One of them was set up by a long return. Missouri's defense is better than South Carolina's. They're better equipped to cause Florida problems. That was a Kentucky team that I think was probably playing better earlier in the season. They were healthier. They had Will Levis on that team. But that is kind of the formula for South Carolina. And in those 2 games, I mean, Missouri was close. There was a 4th quarter game. Missouri only scored 17 points. Kentucky scored 26 and won. But those teams are able to muck it up defensively. Can South Carolina do that? I don't really think so.
So yeah, I guess here's the trouble. It's for Carolina to win, they're going to have to score a lot of points, and it's oh boy, we spent most of the last 2 years talking about how the offense isn't good. So I guess that just leaves you feeling not very good about the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough. It doesn't mean they can't win the game. I think they're going to have to score points. Maybe they muck it up like Chris is saying. I don't see it playing out like that. They're going to need to move the ball against Florida the way they did against Vandy. It's going to need to sort of be where they're creating a bunch of big plays and feeling pretty. I mean, they scored 31 points in the half against Vandy. It's one of the best halves they've played on offense of the Beamer era, I think. So it's going to have to be somewhat similar to that for them to win the game, in my opinion.
All right, well, we'll flip. We'll go defense, offense next, because somebody texted me in the 9 o'clock hour with an interesting potential strategy for South Carolina. Maybe not even to muck the game up in general, but just to try to slow down a good Florida offense, and also to try to fix what's been a pretty rough defense the last couple of weeks. 803-404-6100. Thoughts that you have, predictions, matchups for the Carolina-Florida game, let us know. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, text line. Get all of us on Twitter as well, at Pearson Fowler, at Coach B Tweets, at Wes Mitchell GC, and at GC Chris Clark.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Their patented no residue cleaning system gets your carpets, rugs, and upholstery insanely clean. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at HerndonChevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on MidStateRoofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, MidStateRoofing.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back just for buying the gas I was going to buy anyway.
But is it a hassle to use?
No, it's super fast and easy, and I can cash out whenever I want.
That's a total no-brainer. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PLAY for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code PLAY. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PLAY for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PLAY.
Hey everyone, this is Jimmy Guthrie from Superior Kia in Orangeburg. Personally inviting you to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings. Everyone knows that out in the country, everything costs less, land costs less, houses cost less, and at Superior Kia in Orangeburg, new Kias cost less. But don't take my word for it. Go to SuperiorMotorsKia.com and see for yourself. Don't forget to click to unlock the deal of the day. Most importantly, at Superior Kia, we don't go to the big city auctions to buy cars. We'd rather buy local trade-ins from local people like you. That's why we price our new Kias so low. It's a win-win for everyone. want. You get a great deal on a new Kia, and we get our hands on a quality pre-owned trade-in. So if you want the best car at the best price with the best experience, you got to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings.
Remember, that's SuperiorMotorsKia.com, located on the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North in Orangeburg.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
$11:37 on a Thursday morning, and welcome back in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, talking Carolina, Florida. Coming up in just a few, the halftime show. Live from the Gutterman, it's the official 15th anniversary show. They'll have special guests from the first show, basketball tickets to give away, plus a $200 fall clean-out from the Gutterman, all to help celebrate 107.5 The Game's 15-year anniversary on the air here in Columbia. Getting back into the Florida game, talking defense, offense now. Somebody texted in the 9 o'clock hour with a very simple suggestion, and football is a complicated game, but sometimes with simple solutions. Just let Emamori follow Anthony Richardson around all day. Spy, essentially. Although, Preston, you said a spy is moving back, a robber is moving up.
Kind of. I mean, in general terms, yes. But as a spy, you just assigning this person to this other person.
So, Wes, will Carolina do that? And if not, why not?
I mean, I would say probably not. You're kind of almost having to reinvent your defense, I think, if you do that to an extent. Now, will there be times where they spy him? I would imagine so. It's probably going to be
down.
Probably gonna be more down distance based. But basically, if you do that, if it's a pure spy, you're taking that guy out of coverage, or that's one less guy that's in coverage. That's one less guy that can rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one less guy covering someone else, because you still have to cover the 5 eligible receivers on any given play. So you're kind of you're already struggling to make that decision of, do I bring 4, drop this many guys? Do I bring 5, drop this? Do I heat them up, cover 0, send 6? And you're almost you're kind of give me some words here, Preston. You're like you're harming yourself, basically.
You're wasting a player.
Yeah,
really?
I think so, because oftentimes, and just personnel wise, none of the linebackers that we currently have are fast enough to get to Anthony Richardson in a one-on-one situation. So while they may be spying him, if he breaks the pocket and has some green to run in front, those dudes are not going to be able to catch him. So now, as Wes was just stating, they weren't in coverage, they weren't in pass rush either. They're kind of in no man's land. Just sitting. It depends if you have who's our guy that just went to the Ernest Jones? If you have an Ernest Jones or a Sky Moore, or somebody who's exceptionally athletic that can get sideline to sideline, but we don't really have those type of linebackers right now.
Is Mokaba healthy yet?
Unfortunately, no.
Those be helping it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me. I don't know if this is game theory or if this is just a huge logical fallacy, but is Florida likely to win this game if Anthony Richardson's throwing the football 40 times? Has Florida beaten anybody with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball 35, 40 times?
We'll get Statman Chris on that. But I mean, I imagine that is not their path. Like probably not. Like I think they're going to want to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball with him.
Yes. So not Anthony. So you're not really afraid of him throwing the ball. You kind of want him to throw the ball. Number 2, if Anthony Richardson finishes the game with fewer than 7 carries, is Carolina more likely to win? Like if Florida runs the ball 45 times and 40 of those carries are to Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne, do you feel better about Carolina's chances or worse about Carolina's chances?
I take that as a win. Like,
okay,
the fewer times he carries it, the better.
So I get what you're saying, Preston, about wasting a player. And Wes, you make a good point. But the number one thing you're afraid of in this game is Anthony Richardson running it. You don't feel that bad about Florida's running backs running it, although they are good. You don't feel that bad about Anthony Richardson throwing it, one, because he's not that good at throwing the football, and 2, you feel really good about your corners, leaving them on an island. Florida's wide receivers are second worst as a group in the SEC in yards after the catch. So you're not worried like Missouri and Kentucky. You're worried about those guys getting in space and killing you. That's not really the MO of Florida's receivers. I get that you are wasting a player, But if Anthony Richardson isn't running the football, it feels like Florida's going to struggle to score.
I think your assumption is that he's not going to run the football because you're spying him, when they're still going to try to block you. Just because you're spying him doesn't mean you're getting a free shot on Richardson. I feel like
the other team's like, oh, he's spying. We'll leave him alone.
Yeah,
But
that
I
would
mean,
be
you
cool.
have your 5 offensive linemen blocking. You have your running back either in pass protection or running a route. You have your receivers running a route. Like the whole point, there's 11 guys on offense. There's 11 guys on defense. You got Emenwari. Not to mention, like, you can't block Nick Emenwari. He doesn't miss tackles. He can just fly over
He's unblockable.
yeah. No, but seriously, does that not give you your best chance? You're trying to Preston and I talked about this in the 9 o'clock hour. You want to discourage Florida from doing what they do best. They want to do what they do, which is run the football and keep Anthony Richardson as a bona fide threat to take off and bust any big play. And if you can keep him from running, I feel like you win.
So here's where being thin in the secondary may come in, because had you had all the pieces in the secondary, then maybe for this particular game you can concoct some sort of scheme where you get in Nick into the box, but now they just don't have the guys to be able to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the depth at safety in particular. So yeah, if you're just rolling him up into the box, I get it. I think there could be times, like if I'm in, I don't know, 3rd and 3, maybe I'm rolling a bunch of guys up into the box and saying, look, Nick, you're spying him. Like, that's your guy. But I feel like a good offensive coordinator is going to kind of rip that apart if you just stick with it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I guess I just feel like if you're Clayton White, wouldn't you rather get ripped apart by Billy Napier going to everybody else? Like, the one way you don't want to lose is Anthony Richardson killing you. If they beat you another way, you're just a better football team then, right?
Yeah, but I think you're going to have to find ways to try to stop him other than just Nick spying. I think Wes makes a great point. Especially, I mean, easy offensive coordinator move. I mean, you're going zone read, or you're handing the football off and using any handoff in that offense can look like a zone read, even if it's just a called run.
Mm-hmm.
And if Nick is hyper focused every single play, 75 plays of the game on Anthony Richardson, he's not going to have as good of a chance to clean up everything that he's cleaned up all season. They've got at least 2 really good backs, and those guys could, we turn around and rushing for 275 yards, and then we're all saying, well, why'd you not let Nick Emenwari go play after, So I think it's kind of like it's a catch-22 in ways. I mean, this just illustrates how difficult it is to defend.
But all of this is setting up that Carolina. I mean, Wes, you said the line's about right. I feel like the line's about right. Florida's about a double-digit favorite. Like, you can't just sit in your base and play a conservative, normal game plan and expect to pull a double-digit upset on the road in the SEC, especially if the matchup's not in your favor. Like, you have to take some chances somewhere, and that can't just be a fake punt for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true, but that logically doesn't mean spying with Nick Emenwari is the answer.
Okay.
Just because that's true. I mean, I think you're gonna you kind of are what you are to an extent defensively at this point in the year. Like, you're not going to be able to just reinvent the wheel, I feel like. Now, do you want to give them some different looks? There may be some personnel things you could do up front. Do you try and get an extra defender a different defender onto the field, to maybe get a little bit more strength up
Sneak a
front?
12th man on there. I like it.
I don't know exactly what the answers are, but in some ways you kind of are what you are. And I feel like if you're going to struggle enough to create pressure and create havoc with 4 anyway. So you're basically saying you can never rush 5 if you do that. You see what I'm saying? If you rush 5 and you have a spy, you have no safety help deep at all.
Yeah, I feel like this is a game where you got to take your chances with that, because Anthony Richardson is not a particularly accurate deep ball thrower, and your DBs are good.
But then your linebackers also have to cover their tight ends and their running backs, and
yeah, that's the trade-off that I would be willing to make if I were Clayton White. What I would not want is to be Clayton White sitting down on Sunday watching a highlight tape of Anthony Richardson running for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, and one thing to keep in mind though about Anthony is you can say, you just blitz him. Well, a lot of his best plays are on broken plays. So if you get there, you better get him. Because if not, if you leave him a lane, like you said, Pearson, it's 80 yards later. I went back and looked up some of the numbers about, what was it said, like 20. It's kind of tough. You can't really find any trends. Like, I could say something like, with one exception, when Anthony Richardson attempts 25 passes or more, they have not won.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at, okay, well, some of those games were Tennessee, Georgia, LSU. All right, so then you go into the competition
Games
thing.
he had to chase.
But you look at the Utah game, which was, a 3-point win. That was a really good win for them beginning of the season. He attempted 24. Well, he completed 17 of them. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he also rushed 11 times for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. So this is a guy that you don't really – he doesn't fit into a box of, if you just do this, there are some guys where you can do that because he's so athletic, and despite his, inaccuracies and his rawness as a passer, he's still got a rifle arm. And so he is very capable of, like, he's got a little bit of like the Felipe Franks as a passer, where it's like, you got to make that guy pass the ball. But then sometimes you make him pass the ball and it's like, well, dang.
Yeah.
Look at what
I
he
just think
did.
like sometimes LeBron's going to hit 7 of 8 threes, but if you're going to, let me amend that to something a little more contemporary. Sometimes Giannis is going to shoot 19 of 20 from the free throw line and you're going to lose a game 6 in the NBA finals. But sometimes Giannis is going to go 8 of 20 because he's not a good free throw shooter. So you got to pick your poison. Real quick though, to your point about pressuring him, Florida is 3rd worst in the SEC in pressure rate. Opposing defenses are getting pressure on Anthony Richardson 39% of offensive snaps. Florida has given up 11 sacks, 4th best in the SEC. So it doesn't matter if you pressure him or not. So something to watch for. 803-404-6100. Any more thoughts that you guys have on the Florida game? Would love to hear from you. Text line, Love Chevy phone line, Twitter. You know how to get all of us.
The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hey everyone, this is Jimmy Guthrie from Superior Kia in Orangeburg. Personally invite you to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings. Everyone knows that out in the country, everything costs less, land costs less, houses cost less, and at Superior Kia in Orangeburg, new Kias cost less. But don't take my word for it. Go to SuperiorMotorsKia.com and see for yourself. Don't forget to click to unlock the deal of the day. Most importantly, at Superior Kia, we don't go to the big city auctions to buy cars. We'd rather buy local trade-ins from local people like you. That's why we price our new Kias so low. It's a win-win for everyone. You get a great deal on a new Kia, and we get our hands on a quality pre-owned trade-in. So if you want the best car at the best price with the best experience, you got to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings.
Remember, that's SuperiorMotorsKia.com. Located on the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North in Orangeburg.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Their patented no residue cleaning system gets your carpets, rugs, and upholstery insanely clean. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean.
The Guttermen wishes happy 15th anniversary to 107.5 The Game. Join Jay Phillips and Terry Ford Thursday as they broadcast live from the Guttermen in West Columbia. Gamecock tickets and a $200 fall clean will be up for grabs. Happy anniversary to 107.5 The Game. And remember, protect your biggest investment with the guys in the powder blue trucks. Call 803-791-7147.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man. O'Reilly.
Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant. Now just $3.99 after mail-in rebate. Limits apply. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Couple minutes left here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, West, Chris talking Carolina and Florida. For those of you that listen and you're on Gamecock Central, which I'm assuming is most of you, and if you're not, you should be. I expect to see at least one post complaining about Wes and Chris being so negative about this game. Can't be operating under all these double standards. I need to see it, folks. Preston, who is the, if not best, who is the scariest individual player you ever had to game plan against?
Ooh. It probably should come straight to my mind if they were that scary.
To carry on?
Against, as a high school coach, no, Stephon Gilmore.
Oh.
Yeah, totally unsuccessful. I've said this so many times before. We literally, as in for real, literally, did not tackle him to the ground one time in the game that we played him. He would catch the ball, and as a quarterback, he would run, and then he would just run out of bounds whenever he felt like it, or score a touchdown, however that ended up working. Yeah. Stephon Gilmore, I'm my fault. I blanked on that one. Yeah,
that's good.
The carry-on was really awesome. Like I said, the game, it was the carry-on Joyner versus Jordan Adams, and it was probably two of the best high school athletes I've seen on the field at one time. Privileged to coach that game. But Stephon Gilmore, by far.
So what did you do? Because Anthony Richardson isn't the best offensive player that Carolina's going to see, but he's the scariest, probably hardest to match up with.
He's not that on this level.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not that superior on this level.
But is unique, and like the other players that Carolina's had to game plan for, Devon Achane, Chris Rodriguez, it's like the flow of the offense. This is a guy that just breaks offenses and defenses.
Well, it's always really difficult, and this is cliche and sounds obvious, but it's when it's the quarterback because he touches the ball every single play. And that's why the QB power, the QB run, all of that stuff is almost like a cheat code because you get an extra man to block for. You don't account for that extra guy that's blocking for the quarterback. I know there's no easy way to get that done. Obviously, some teams have. Going back to what was said over the break, hopefully Florida makes some mistakes in the meantime. But it's a tall task for sure.
You got to turn them over.
Yeah. And they're number one in the SEC in turnover margin.
Yeah. That has been his Achilles heel at times. Yeah. Now he's protected it. We had Nick De La Torre, Gators Online, on with us yesterday on the podcast. What do you say? The last 3 games he has not turned it over?
Definitely hasn't had an interception.
So
I don't think he's turned it over. There you go.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to have to turn him over. I mean, this guy is an elite talent. Like, it hasn't always come together yet to where you'd call him an elite player. I don't think.
Well,
But
I mean, wasn't he 3 stars coming out of high school?
I think so.
So, I mean, there's something missing in his game. He's not Cam Newton.
The funny thing is that Nick said yesterday that if Anthony continued to develop, he has the talent level of what, he would be the answer to the question of what if Cam Newton had never stolen a laptop at Florida? And I mean, the
that
run,
was a big sentence.
Different runner than Cam for sure. Not
we're just
as
getting some hard nose.
not as powerful. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I remember Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, the NFL MVP as well.
That's just a high bar for anybody to reach. I feel like that, but
yeah, Anthony Richardson still needs to be first team All SEC, win a Heisman Trophy, win a national championship, be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, win the NFL MVP, and win the NFC. He just needs to do that, and then he'll be that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough compare. It's kind of like when people, around here, people, how does Jordan Birch compare to Clowney, or how does this whoever coming up in the state? I'm like, he doesn't. I mean, and that's no knock on anybody.
And that's
like,
okay.
Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
at this point in his career, though, Cam was not Cam yet.
He was
either.
not. He was
So-
not.
Yeah, he was probably still in junior college at this point in his carer.
I think the point is Anthony Rich. You don't look at him and go, "Well, he doesn't have the arm talent." He does.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have he's got the size.
Yeah.
He's maybe not as physical a runner as Cam, but he is faster.
Yeah.
So he's a scary player.
Cool. Very good. All right, well, we're out of time here. Don't listen to the show tomorrow because Carolina's going to lose by a lot, and that's all Wes and Chris have to say about it. I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep looking for areas for Carolina to exploit. No, I'm just kidding. Listen tomorrow. We'll have a great show planned for you guys. We'll have the Mason-Dixon lines, some more thoughts on Carolina, Florida, picks, buy or sell, the whole 9. It'll be a fun Friday show. Hope you'll have a great rest of your afternoon. And the 15th anniversary edition of the Halftime Show is up next.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus Media Station.
Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Are you a top